Hey, how about, do you know what you give a sick pig?
What do you give a sick pig?
Ointment!
Ointment, really? Go on. You made me laugh,
Hey,
didn't
how
it?
about a sick bird?
I don't know. What's
Tweetment.
a sick pig? Tweetment. Oh, God.
Hey, tell me about the centipede one.
Well, it's a centipede across the road.
Went to see the chicken.
He's looking for a chicken, huh?
Was he?
Yes.
Lucky the chicken didn't find him. Put a smile upon
So these are some words in the Hebrew that I wanted to share. You got up here is the nachash, so it's nun, chet, and shin, nachash, which translates in English as serpent.
Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which the Lord God had made. And he said unto the woman, Yea, hath God said, Ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden? And the woman said unto the serpent, We may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden.
If you look at the ancient pictograph of the alphabet, the original alphabet of the Hebrew language, the original form of that letter looked like this. It looked like a seed. And that's what they were drawing right back at the start. They were drawing a seed, and the next letter, chet, was drawn like this, which represents a fence. And the last letter, shin, looks like this, which is a picture of the two front teeth. So we understand that the nachash is a creature that planted a seed, that declared its property, or set out its boundaries, and took ownership of, because that's what fences do. And then the shin, the teeth normally conveys the sense of consuming, eating, devouring. And that's what the serpent is. That's what the serpent did to Eve when it sowed the seed in her
And
mind.
the serpent said unto the woman, Ye shall not surely die. For God doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil.
So Eve had to make a choice. She had to decide who was telling the truth, because they were both saying opposite things. And that's how Jesus came to name the devil as the father of lies. He said the devil was a murderer from the beginning. And when he speaks his native language, he speaks lies, because there's no truth in him. So this is why it's important that we're able to live in a way where we're not afraid of what the truth is. And there's many reasons why we might be afraid of what the truth is. And this is exactly what the serpent does through the world, because none of us is born being afraid of the truth. But through life we get ourselves into a way of life, or we get a history that we're afraid of people knowing, or we're afraid of admitting to ourselves that our way of life needs to change. And because it can be expensive, it can be humiliating, even possibly could be life-destroying if we've set ourselves up in such a way that there's a series of events that would lead to a fatal consequence. Not that I have any knowledge of what those sorts of things might be. But yeah, there's people that they make oaths and pacts with each other to guard each other in their conspiracies and stuff. So they're very, very afraid of the truth coming out and showing what it is that they've been scheming to do in the dark, while keeping this other face to the world that makes everybody think that they're innocent and well-meaning. Not pointing fingers at any one person in particular. So Eve had to make a decision. Was she going to believe what God told her, or was she going to believe what the serpent was saying, that God is trying to keep it from her?
And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof, and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat.
And we know that when she allowed that seed to grow in her mind, she started to see that the fruit was good for eating, and that it was going to make her wise, and so she did take of it. and she ate of it. And straight away we can see that she got cut off from the life because she went into hiding. She's covering up her nakedness. She had no shame before. But now because of what she's done, she has some shame and she's afraid of the truth. She doesn't want it to be revealed.
And the eyes of them both were opened, and they knew that they were naked. And they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves aprons. And they heard the voice of the Lord God walking in the garden in the cool of the day.
Come on now, big smile.
And Adam and his wife hid themselves from the presence of the Lord God amongst the trees of the garden. And the Lord God called unto Adam and said unto him, Where art thou? And he said, I heard thy voice in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked, and I hid myself. And he said, Who told thee that thou wast naked? Hast thou eaten of the tree whereof I commanded thee that thou shouldest not eat? And the man said, The woman whom thou gavest to be with me, she gave me of the tree, and I did eat.
Yeah, so you can see that, what the nachash is. This one here, nephesh, haven't drawn this very well. They looks like this, nephesh. And it's a seed in the teeth, but the middle letter there is lips. That's what it looks like in the original alphabet, and that conveys the meaning of breath or blowing, which is like the wind. So the seed, it blows out what we consume. Proverbs 18:21 says that death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat its fruit. So it's similar to this philosophy that people have that you create the world around you by what you put out into it. But I think that's just it's a very simplified philosophy, and it doesn't take into account what other people are putting out as well, and how that impacts your environment, the place that you're living in, and what resources you have to work with in that sense. But it does go towards explaining what the meaning of what the nephesh is, the soul. In English, it's translated normally as soul or life. And if you read in Genesis, where God created the man and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and he became a living nephesh, a living soul.
And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life. And man became a living soul.
But also it's used to describe the soul in animals as well. So animals do have a soul. It's exactly the same word. And I'll put a few links on there's a place in Proverbs that says, A
righteous man regardeth the life of his beast, but the tender mercies of the wicked are cruel.
Regards, gives consideration to the nephesh, soul, of his domestic beast, or his domestic beast is his pet or his working cattle or whatever it is that he's domesticated, the animals that he keeps domestically. But the wicked, so in the Proverbs they're teaching a difference, a juxtaposition between the righteous and the wicked. But the wicked does not regard the nephesh of his domestic beast, but instead, even the most tender mercies, the mercy of the wicked is cruel. So, when you see somebody who's being cruel, but they're trying to be nice, they're trying to do even their most tender mercy, but even that is cruel, and that's why their children are crying, it's because they're wicked. They don't even have any righteousness in them. Their ways are wicked. And in contrast to that, the righteous one regards the soul of his domestic beast. So he actually gives consideration to what it feels like, their point of view. And he treats them well. There's no cruelty in a righteous person's actions towards another. Hopefully helps to clear things up a little bit as to the real disadvantage we have through the English language. We're just not seeing the depth of knowledge and understanding, and we're not getting the right guidance through what the scriptures are teaching because we're missing all this stuff. There's a heap of meaning to be gained through studying what the original texts are saying, rather than what we'd do is we'd listen to what our favourite preachers are saying, and then we'd look to the scriptures just to sort of prove that what they've taught us is sound doctrine, you see. And so it's actually causing a confirmation bias is the way that we use in the scriptures. But what we're learning is actually what they're teaching from the pulpit instead of what the scriptures are teaching. So I hope you go and look that up, the Hebrew pictograph. And I'll put some links below as well. See ya.
Put a smile upon your face, be happy. Happy. Put a grin upon that frown, be happy. Happy. Don't stomp around the room full of doom and gloom. You can change the world when you're happy. Put a smile upon your face, be happy. Happy. Show the human race how to be happy. Happy. So look the world right in the eye, kiss the blues goodbye. Put a smile upon your face.